Well, thank you very much, Claire. And having had my CV outlined to you this morning, I can say that when I opened my information pack and found that I can get a certificate of attendance at today's event, that is going to significantly boost not just my CV, but also my CPD as well. I was also a little bit alarmed because as we were being told about the evaluation form, I looked at it and I find out that you get to rate me on this. Now, I don't want to apply any pressure, but I am worried that any feedback may find its way back to the First Minister. And so, whatever it takes for you to fill that in appropriately, let me know. But can I thank you all for inviting me along to speak to you today? As you will know, we in the Scottish Government have a very ambitious agenda in order to transform early learning and childcare. And I want to thank Early Learning Scotland, and I've just clicked on your laptop here, so I don't know if that's changed. It has changed what's happening, so I will have to be a little bit more careful about what I do with my speaking notes now. But obviously, you're all here today because we share an agenda, we share an ambition for early learning and childcare to be the best that it can be, and for the early experiences of the children in Scotland to be the best that they can be. And we all know that early learning and childcare has a vital role to play, but we also know that in order for it to do that, it has to be high quality. There's a wealth of international evidence to back that up, and I suspect Professor Lavers will be talking a little bit more in relation to that. But we also have our own longitudinal study, Growing Up in Scotland, or GUS, which we've now been running for 10 years, which helps to give us a picture of what's happening here in Scotland. And that has found that children who attend early learning and childcare settings with a high care and support grade, as assessed by the Care Inspectorate, are significantly more likely to show improvements in vocabulary skills between the ages of 3 and 5, and these better results apply across all social backgrounds. Importantly, GUS has also shown that children from disadvantaged backgrounds are just as likely as children from more advantaged backgrounds to attend high-quality preschool provision. So high-quality early learning and childcare has a key role not just in improving outcomes for children, but also in reducing the inequality in cognitive development that we know is unacceptably evident before even the start of primary school. So in this context, our plans to increase level of funded provision of early learning and childcare from 600 to 1,140 hours for 3 and 4-year-olds and also eligible 2-year-olds represents a golden opportunity for us to give all children a great start and also to close the attainment gap, as well as supporting parents to work, train or study. So these plans are ambitious and challenging. I'm under absolutely no illusions in relation to that, and I recognise that it's vital we develop our planning for this transformation together with partners who plan and deliver early learning and childcare, as well, of course, as those who use the services. So that's why on Thursday, and just a quick show of hands, how many people watched the debate that took place in Parliament on Thursday or have read the official report on the Parliament website of the debate that took place on Thursday? Not a lot of people. Which kind of emphasises the point that one of the early things I was told by the late Brian Adam, who when I was elected in 2013 in Aberdeen Donside, it was as a result of the sad passing of my colleague and friend Brian Adam. But one of the early lessons he taught me when I got elected to Aberdeen City Council was, it doesn't matter how many fancy speeches you make in the chamber, pretty much nobody's going to watch it. And you have just evidenced that for me. But in seriousness, that's why I think it's important as well that I take these messages to you today, because I can say these things in debate in the Parliament chamber, but it's important that I come and speak to you as frontline practitioners and also to hear from you as well, because we talk a lot amongst ourselves as politicians. I'm just as interested, in fact, if not more interested, in what you, the frontline practitioners, have to say than I am about what opposition politicians have to say about the plans that we're taking forward. Because at the end of the day, it will be your responsibility alongside of us to take these things forward. But in that debate, I announced that we will be launching a consultation on our blueprint for our expansion of early learning and childcare. And that consultation is going to launch this coming Friday, the 7th of October. It's going to seek input and views around how we deliver that expansion, what kind of funding models do we need to use, what kind of delivery methods do we need to use, how do we increase flexibility, partnership approaches, these kind of things. So if you want to, and I hope you do, help shape that transformation, please do take the opportunity to respond to that consultation. But I set out sort of 4 key principles that I think underpin what we need to do with the expansion. They are quality, flexibility, affordability, and accessibility. Quality in terms of making sure that we have a high-quality, skilled workforce delivering in high-quality environments for our children, because we know that at the end of the day, the epicenter of what we deliver has to be a high-quality experience for children in order to ensure that they achieve the best outcomes. All else, while important, stands or falls on the basis of the quality that we provide. Flexibility is about ensuring that we take account of the needs of parents and families and their requirements in terms of the early learning and childcare offering that is available, in terms of the hours that are provided, in terms of the settings in which those hours are provided, in terms of how the funding for that is delivered. So that is about making sure that we've got that flexible approach. And that flexible approach applies also in terms of looking at different areas of the country. Is what works in an urban setting more or less likely to work in a rural setting, or more or less achievable than in a rural setting? Do we need to think about how we approach things differently in our remote and rural communities? Is there a role for community empowerment in terms of some of our more remote and rural areas where the local authority may not be able to deliver an appropriate environment, where the market forces are unlikely to lead to private providers setting up? Is there an opportunity there for communities to lead things rather than waiting for something to arrive? In terms of affordability, we want to see an offer that first and foremost we can achieve within the financial envelope that we deliver, but also we want to see one that is sustainable and financially sustainable in the long term as well. So that will form a part of what we seek to deliver as well. But within that, I should emphasise that one of the findings of our financial review, and I don't know how many of you saw the financial review that we published on Tuesday, which looked at essentially what has happened in the period since the introduction of the 2014 Children and Young People Act, when we expanded to 600 hours. And that demonstrated that it is relatively more costly in a private setting to deliver early learning, in a local authority setting than it is in a private setting. But that is almost exclusively explained by the differential in terms of pay, with around 80% of practitioners and 50% of supervisors in partner settings being paid below the living wage. Now, I recognise, and I think people in this room recognise, that we need to try and achieve better pay and conditions in our partner provider settings to ensure, first of all, that we can attract the high quality staff that we will need to attract in order to deliver the expansion, but secondly and most importantly, that we can retain those staff as well, because one of the issues that is often raised with me is that partner providers feel that they train staff but then lose them to local authority environments because the pay differential makes it more attractive for those staff to move on. Is there a way that we can address that balance? One of the things which the financial review also revealed, and you will have seen the news coverage in relation to this, was around the amount of money that has been allocated by the Scottish Government to deliver this expansion versus the amount of money that has either been spent or planned to be spent in relation to it. And there's a differential of around 140 million that doesn't appear to have been spent in the way that we would have intended. Now, I recognise that local authorities have questioned that. It's from their own figures that we have derived that data, but they legitimately have said that they feel that there are questions there. Even if there is still undoubtedly that £140 million, it's not all going to have been able to have been accounted for as part of the expansion. Within that £140 million, I suspect, I don't have the figures in front of me, but I suspect it would not have taken anywhere close to £140 million to be able to deliver a living wage in partner provider settings. So I would simply say that I think that the opportunity is there. I want to get round the table with organisations like Early Years Scotland, like the National Day Nurseries Association, like COSLA and local government, and let's see how we can make that happen as part of the expansion that we take forward. And finally, in terms of accessibility. Accessibility, I'm applying here in its broadest sense, because as well as being geographically accessible and ensuring that parents don't have to travel significant distance in order to access entitlement, I, as a parent, have a child with additional support needs. And I recognise that we also have to ensure that accessibility means that we have opportunities for children with complex additional needs to be able to access their entitlement appropriately and in their locality. So that is another part of the expansion that we're going to be taking forward. So we are aware and conscious that there are challenges here. That's why we're seeking to consult. We are aware that progress has been made, but we recognise that there is more that needs to be done. And what I want to make clear to you today is my commitment as a minister to work with you and others across the sector to make this happen, because it is only by applying our collective shoulders to the wheel that we will ensure that we deliver this expansion and that we deliver those best outcomes. And I was up in Inverness yesterday, and I know there are a couple of folk here from Cala who've come down because I met them on the train, but I was at that conference yesterday. And speaking after me was Karen McCluskey from the Violence Reduction Unit, who I'm not sure if many of you have been able to witness Karen speaking at events. I can highly commend it to you if you have not, because she gave an exceptionally powerful presentation. And what she spoke about was the life chances of those young people. And she highlighted a case example and put up on a slide which showed the various stages of a young man's life leading up to the point where he stabbed somebody. And she highlighted all of the different points in his life where there could potentially have been intervention, where perhaps we could have intervened and diverted him in a different direction. But one of the key things that she said was that if we intervene early enough, if we get in at the earliest possible stage in a child's life and give them a quality experience, an experience that helps perhaps to make them feel more valued as part of our society, that dramatically improves the life chances and the outcomes for those young people. So that is my mission. My mission is to make sure that we improve those life chances. Now, that won't be delivered exclusively by early learning and childcare, because one of the other conferences I did recently, I did a parental engagement conference with Education Scotland, and there was a Professor Janet Goodall from Bath University who was there, and she put up a slide which said 80% of how a child performs educationally is actually influenced by what happens outside of the school gates. Now, that's not to denigrate or do down the work that people in this room and in our education sector do, but what's a recognition of and a realisation of is that the world that wraps around those children outside of the educational environment is fundamental to ensuring that you are working with them rather than fighting against those circumstances. So my commitment to you is, yes, let's take forward that expansion. It's exciting, it's transformational, it has the opportunity to change and shape lives. And yes, let's also work together to ensure that those children experience the best possible start in life. And I think I've got a little bit of time left to take some questions.
Maybe not, because we want questions.
Yes.
That's it. Absolutely.
So I do apologise for taking a bit longer than I was meant to.
No, you're allowed.
But I am now able to take some questions from you if you want.
Well, let's do that, because there are a lot of nodding heads and some smiles there, but maybe there were some frowns too. I didn't see that because I was so busy listening to what you were saying. But there is an opportunity now, a very golden opportunity, to ask the Minister questions. So would somebody like to put their hands up? We've got somebody that would like to ask a question.
I should add that in your magazine there is a comprehensive Q&A with me. You know.
Yeah. Don't be shy. We've got a roving mic. There's a lady there. So we can get the microphone to you. Just wait for the microphone or else we're going to miss your golden words. Can you tell us who you are as well? Just that'd be nice too.
I'm not really fond of this.
Neither am I. VP's
in AC, 40 years in early childhood education. I have been listening to you very carefully, and what comes home to me is the question of a skilled workforce. Now, we talk about quality, we've been talking about quality for years, in actual fact. How are we going to ensure that we do have a skilled workforce by the time this all comes into play? Presently, do we have a skilled workforce? Question mark. And if not, why not, and what needs to be done?
Okay. Well, the answer is yes, I do think we have a skilled workforce. But I think what I want to do is ensure that they are able to develop their skills. And in terms of attracting more people into the workforce, I mean, I think back to when I was at school, and you know, it was very much the kind of attitude was, if you can't do anything else, do hairdressing or do childcare. You know, that was the approach. And I want to get away from that. I want this to be, this is I've spoken at length there about how critical this is that we get things right for children. And those people who are going to be involved in delivering early learning and childcare are going to be fundamental to that. What more could encapsulate the importance of this role than what I've said there? So, it's no longer about this, if you can't do anything else, do this. This is about, do you want to help shape children's lives for the better? That's what this is about. So that's how I think we help attract that skilled workforce. We have a range of qualifications and programmes in place. We are working with the Scottish Funding Council to ensure that we can deliver the numbers of staff that are going to be required to deliver the expansion. We're conscious of that. But I'm confident that, yes, we have the skilled workforce out there, but I'm also aware that we need to ensure that we develop opportunities for them to move up through the profession as well and create career pathways, as well as ensuring that they develop their skills in the job as well.
We've probably got time for a very...
As well as ongoing CPD opportunities.
Absolutely,
for
yes.
the large workforce that we currently have in service. Absolutely,
yes. Yes, that absolutely has to be part of the offer as well.
Thank you for that and for the follow-up as well. Probably got time for one more if you've got a little question. Are you all quite happy with what you've heard? Jean or Barbara, do you want to say anything to the Minister?
Oh, I didn't know Jean was going to get put on the
Yeah,
spot.
Jean gets first dibs. Yeah, she's my mate, yeah.
Is there anyone else who'd like to ask a question?
They're all being too shy. Oh no, there's a lady here. Very quickly, if we can get the microphone to you. We must use you while we've got you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Alison Barry from Partners Playgroup, and we are based in McDonald MSP, which is a very rural area, and one of the biggest hurdles that we have got with this is that a lot of partner groups are based in community halls and are not going to be able to access these halls for the amount of time that the children are going to have to be in their care. What are the plans, if any, to combat that issue? So,
obviously, the responsibility there are these community halls operated by the local authority, can I just ask, or are they operated by community trusts?
It's places like church halls.
Right, okay. So that's where I think community empowerment has a role to play, because community empowerment is about giving communities opportunities to essentially shape what goes on in their area, and sometimes that will involve budgetary consideration, but sometimes it's just about enabling and empowering people to be able to shape what's provided in the community to meet the needs of the community. So my first instinct would be to say that I think that there is a role there to get all of the interested parties around the table and basically hammer out what's going to be required in terms of the physical infrastructure and then the time requirements that will involve. It's also about where can we perhaps link up better in terms of who the providers are out there who are going to be delivering on this expansion. I'm away to go, one of the reasons why I can't stay with you for very much longer is I'm away to go to the Childminders Conference in Dunfermline via another visit, and I'm going to be speaking to them about the role that I think childminders have got in terms of what we're delivering. There's good work being done by some local authorities. Other local authorities, I think, have got to play catch-up in terms of the flexibility of approach they're taking. It can't just be that we rely on local authority nursery settings to deliver this expansion, or it's not going to happen. There's got to be that blended approach across a mix of providers, and we've got to get the parties round the table in order to discuss that. So, firstly, I think it's for communities to lead those discussions rather than me coming wading in and trying to fix everything in areas that I don't necessarily understand. But obviously, if there are issues in particular areas, then I, as a minister, want to hear about those so I can go to the local authorities and say, what are you doing to help facilitate this?
Thank you very much indeed, Minister. We're going to leave it there because we've got so many people queuing to speak to us today. But great to have such a range of questions and people listening very carefully to what you say. Thank you so much for your time. A big thanks to Mark McDonald for his speech.